to really get the sense of this text, to really understand the meaning of this parable, you will have had to have lost something. A parent who has lost a child, or if you don't know where your toddler is in the house, or that child has gotten outside the house and has walked down the street 2 or 3 years old, there is a panic that strikes that only the heart of a parent can feel. Or if your child has strayed away, has gone away from how you raised them, it is not the pain of knowing that they are in the far country. The pain comes from knowing what they are doing in the far country. Because the only person who can appreciate the far country experience is someone who's been in the far country himself. Again, in order for you to get the meaning of this passage, you've got to go back up to the first verses where Jesus is talking to Pharisees, because the Pharisees are having a problem with Jesus, because not only is he the friend of sinners, he's eating with them. I don't think you can get that until you understand what a scandal that was in Jewish life. Because to invite somebody to a meal is to invite them into your life and to say to them, you are accepted. Jesus accepts tax collectors, prostitutes, adulterers, sinners of every stripe. And not only does he accept them, but they feel good in his presence. Let me shock your Baptist sensibilities. There is a church in Florida that I've visited, a fine, upstanding silk stocking church. Only the highbrow are members of that church. And when the new pastor came to the church, he put a sign over the entrance to the vestibule that would shock many of you Baptists this morning. The sign over the vestibule said, in his highbrow, silk stocking, well-to-do church, sinners only, welcome here. Sinners only, welcome here. I'm glad that Jesus is the friend of sinners, because were he not the friend of sinners, you and I would have to crawl out of this sanctuary this morning. But he looked beyond my fault. He looked beyond my shortcoming. He looked beyond my failure. He looked beyond the flaws in my character. He looked beyond my foolishness and loved me enough to eat with me. The Pharisees saw that, and they said, this man not only eats with sinners, but he welcomes them. And to get the story over to them in a way that would really bring it home, not only to them, but to us, we have got to get our 21st century mind out of the way and get some first century dust on our shoes so that we can understand the gravity, the weight of what it is Jesus is getting over in this story. This is the crown of all parables. It is the evangelium in evangelio, the gospel in the gospel. Which, if you can grasp this parable, it has no equal in all literature. It's one parable told in three movements. The third movement has two parables involved in it. It's not about a lost sheep. It's about a seeking shepherd. It's not about a lost coin. It's about a seeking woman. It's not about a lost son. It's about a loving father. It's not the parable of the prodigal son, really. Really, it ought to be called the parable of the prodigal father. Because the word prodigal means recklessly extravagant. Stay with me. The younger boy is recklessly extravagant in waste. The older boy is recklessly extravagant in want. But the father is recklessly extravagant in love. The boy who left home was lost, and the boy who stayed home was lost, because it is very possible to be lost in the house. Wish I had a witness here. Walk with me around the text. This young boy, in verses 11 and verse 12, he leaves the father's house. But brothers and sisters, I want you to get this. Before he leaves the father's house, he's already left the father's heart. He's left before he leaves. Because leaving is in his heart before he packs up to go. And when you walk away from the church, you don't just walk away one Sunday, you've been walking away for weeks. In increments. Day in and day out, you've been thinking, this is not what I want. This is not what I need. This is not right. This is not going well. And before you know it, like a sheep, you have nibbled away from the fold. And you keep nibbling until you fall off a cliff. Because before you leave God physically, you've left him spiritually. This boy has already walked away from his father before he leaves his father's house. This young man's request, watch this, this young man's request is a dagger in his father's heart. He does not ask the father for a loan. He asked his father, gives me everything that's coming to me. The arrogance of that. The insolence of that. I wish Victoria would come ask me, give me my portion of your goods. You ain't work for nothing. This is my money if I want to give it to you. You have an inheritance if I leave it to you. But you don't come and ask me for your inheritance from me, because in that culture, only the father could talk about inheritance. The son had no right to talk about an inheritance because the son had no rights while his father was alive. And for him to ask the father to give me my part of the inheritance is the same as saying to the father, I wish you were dead. Give me my inheritance as if you were dead. He was virtually expressing a desire for his father to die. When you read the text, when you read verse 11 and 12, Jesus said there was a man who had two sons. The younger said to his father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me. So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country, and there he squandered his property in desolate living. Watch this. A few days had passed from the ask and the give, which means during that time, the father was trying to reason with him. The father was trying to say to him, you don't want to do that. You really don't want that, because outside my protecting presence, you are doomed for failure. If I was you, I'd change my mind. Turn around. Don't do that. Don't ask me to let you do that. But parents, there are times when you have to let them go. You do the best you can. You try to reason with them, you try to talk to them, you try to bring them to their senses, but there are times when you just have to do what that father did in the text. The father loved him enough to grant him the freedom to take his journey, knowing that outside his presence, he had failed already. So in this story, in verse 11 and 12, is the leaving the father's house. He takes his father's goods, liquidates it into cash, and strikes out for the far country. Hear me, Lily Grove. The far country is not always a geographical location. More often than not, the far country is a spiritual condition. Because you can be in Lily Grove and be in the far country. You can be in Houston and be in the far country. The far country is not a place, like it's a mindset. It's a heart condition. Your heart is so hard against the things of God that, like these Pharisees, you are such a judgmental, hypocritical mercenary that Jesus has to tell a story to get you to see your own reflection in the mirror. Are y'all listening to me? He leaves the Father's house. But now, in verses 13 through 16, he's living in the far country. The story is not only about leaving, it's about living. Sooner or later, choices bring consequences. Sooner or later, choices bring consequences. He left looking like his father, and he ends up looking like his decision. Can I run that by you one more time? He left looking like his father, but he ends up looking like his decision. He left plenty for poverty, freedom for servitude, the place of honor to a place of degradation and shame. Because when the money runs out, the good time runs out. When all he has is gone, everybody who was hanging around with him for what he had are gone too. When all the cash that he had liquidated from his father's property is gone, he is now bankrupt, and he joins himself to a citizen of that country. He knows what he left, but because he's in his profligate condition, he joins himself to a man completely adjusted to life apart from God. This boy is a stranger in the far country. And listen, when you belong to God, the far country you're a stranger in the far country. You try to act like a citizen, but you're not a citizen. You're a stranger in the far country. And it's not until you come to your senses. He's in the far country. And he comes to this place where there's now a famine. Everything in the land is in famine. And this boy now begins to be in want, joins himself to a citizen of that country. And the citizen doesn't want to have him, so he gives him a job that he knows no Jewish boy would ever take. It's a job feeding swine. And this boy goes to a hog pen because feeding swine represents to the Jew moral defilement and all the shame that's involved. But not only is he living with swine, he wants to eat what the swine are eating. That's how low sin will take it. It pays to serve Jesus, and it costs to serve the devil. You missed that. It pays to serve Jesus, but it costs to serve the devil. Because you can sink so low that you are about to do what you thought you would never do. And let me tell some Pharisee in here this morning, and I know you're here. Let me tell some highbrow Christian who would not even enter a church where the sign said sinners only, welcome here. Don't ever say what you won't ever do. And the reason why you can't say what you won't ever do is because you haven't gotten to it yet. Anybody can be strong when you don't have any tests. Anybody can stand up and talk about how Christian you are when you don't go through any trial. The real test of how much you love God is how you treat people when they fall. Did you hear that? The real test of your Christianity is not your theological understanding, it's how you respond to people in the far country. This boy left the father's house, living in the far country. And while there, he's about to eat the food that the swine ate. Food he was about to eat symbolized the empty, unsatisfying food served to a starving soul. Because only manna from heaven is fit for your soul and mine. But when you're in the far country, you'll eat anything. You'll do anything. There's no level of degradation you won't sink to. There's no sin that you won't commit because you're in the far country. And not only are you in the far country, but you're in a pig pen. Not only you are in a pig pen, you smell like pigs. You eat like pigs. You feel like pigs. And it was not until he came to his senses. And every Christian in here this morning had to come to your senses. All of us were lost till we came to our senses. All of us were in a pig pen until we came to our senses. All of us were on our way to hell until we came to our senses. Yeah. It's right here in the text. He said, wait a minute. Here I am in a pig pen. And my father's slaves throwing away food. I'm going to get up from here and go back to my father's house. And then he starts to rehearse his little pig pen speech. Father, I've sinned against heaven and before thee, and I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Just make me a hired servant. Father, I've sinned against heaven and against thee, and I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Father, I've sinned against heaven and against thee, and I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Just make me a hired servant. Father, I've sinned against heaven and before thee. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Just make me a hired servant. Father, I've sinned against heaven and against thee. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. I don't want to sing in the choir. I don't want to be a deacon. Just let me be a hired servant. Just let me clean the toilets. Just let me be in the bathroom. Just let me cut the grass. And Father, I've sinned against heaven and before thee. I'm not worthy to be called your son. Make me a hired servant. And while he's rehearsing, his dad is looking for him. Yes, sir. Yeah. I want you to see something. The entire action that I'm about to describe of the prodigal returning to the father is the most tender moment in the parable. Because the boy is on the way home rehearsing his speech. And the father sees him before he sees the father. And the father, who is a man of some wealth, a man of some dignity and character, does what no old man would ever do in that culture because it would be considered undignified. He ran publicly because old men don't run. Nobility never gets in a hurry. Royalty never expresses emotion. But this father is so emotional that his emotions get the best of it. And he ran, watch this, does not give him a chance to take a shower. He smells like a hog. He looks like he's been in a pig pen. But the daddy ran to meet him. And while the father is running to meet him, the boy is coming up to the father. But watch this. The father interrupts the speech he made. He says, Father, I've sinned against heaven and against thee. And the father never lets him get to the part where he says, make me a hired servant. Here it is. Because when he comes to the father to ask for forgiveness, it's already granted before he asks. And I need somebody who has fallen in this church this morning to help me testify that before you ask, God has already granted. The only folk who can shout this morning is somebody who knows what it feels like to be in a pig pen. Father, I've sinned against heaven and before you. I'm not even worthy to be called your son. Don't make me a son. Make me a servant. The daddy does not let him finish that statement. He falls on him, filth and all. Dirt and all. That never would have happened at Lily Grove because you'd have to tell him, go get clean first, then come back. Go take a shower first, then come back. You smell like the world. You smell like a pig pen. Oh, I don't want to sit by you. Oh, Lord, I can't let you preach to me. Oh, what a sinner you are. You've been dead. You've been in the pen. You've been on drugs. You had a needle in your arm. You had an abortion. You used to be gay. Oh, Lord, I can't sit with you. I can't have you even in my circle. I don't want you in my pew. We want to sit around with clean folk like they clean folk. Everybody in here got some pig pen soot on you. Everybody in this church got some mess, some junk, some problem that you've been through. And before you got to God, he forgave you. Get it, get it, get it, get it. The father falls on his neck and kisses him because it's the responsibility of the village to come out and stone him. Because they've already had his funeral. They have already sit shiver for this boy. They've already had the repast, because to the village, he's dead. But when the father falls on him, the implication is, if you got a stone to throw, you're going to have to hit me first. Listen. The father said, go get my robe. Not a choir robe. Get my robe and put my robe on him. Not only does the father clothe him, he covers him. And I'm glad this morning that God not only clothed me, but he covered me. Aren't you glad you're covered? I need a shouter here this morning who's got some decision you wish you hadn't made, some stuff you wish you could go back and clean up, but God don't even let you go back and clean it up. He said, you're forgiven. Your sins are washed away. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm through. Yeah. I'm finished. What he said? Yes. Y'all gonna let me finish, won't you? Go ahead. Go ahead. He said, get the best robe. Put it on. Go in my jewelry box and get my ring and put it on his finger. He's not a slave. He's a son. And to show you how much of a son he is, go get some shoes. What? Slaves walk around here barefoot. Sons have shoes on. A robe, a ring, and some shoes signify that you are back in your rightful place. The world might have counted you out, but God counted you in. The world might have said you can't ever be anything, but God said, go get my robe. Yeah. Go get my ring. Get my shoe. I got shoes. You got shoes. All God's children got shoes. Shoes is a symbol of authority. That means I can stand up in the righteousness that is in Jesus Christ. It's not my righteousness. It's the righteousness of Christ. And now, I want to introduce you to the star of the show. The star of the show is not the boy who came home. The star of the show is not even the father. The star is the fatted calf. Because he had to be sacrificed in order for the party to start. Yeah. Come on. That's right. Something had to die in order for the dancing to start. Something had to give his life in order for the celebration to commence. One Friday, on a hill called Calvary, Jesus became my fatted calf. Yeah. Yes. A preacher got on a train to go someplace to preach. And he noticed this young man across the aisle from him who was fidgety and in distress of some sort. The pastor decided to get up from his seat and go sit where the young man was. And he said to him, I noticed that you are anxious and in distress. And the young man said, years ago, I cursed my parents. I told them I didn't want anything to do with them. I walked out of the house and told them I'll never speak to them again. But I heard that my father is near death, and I want to get home to see him. But I'm nervous because I don't know if they will accept me. I said some ugly things, some things a child should have never said to his parents. And I'm nervous and distressed because I don't know if they will receive me. He said, I sent them a letter. And I said, if you want me to come, if you will see me, put a white rag on the tree where the train passes. And I will know that I'm welcome to come back home. And he told the preacher, I'm getting nervous and more distressed because the train is about to turn the corner of where my parents live. And that tree is in their backyard. And I'm nervous that if I see that there's no white rag there, I'm not welcome. And my father may die with me never being able to apologize. And as they rounded the bend, not only was there a white rag on the tree, but there was a tablecloth, some napkins, some white bath towels. It covered the entire tree to say to the boy, welcome home. One Friday, there was another tree that said to every sinner in this room, I don't care what you've done, welcome home. I don't care how many sins you've committed, welcome home. I don't care how many lies you've told, how much of adultery you've committed, welcome home. This story is so strong that I'm going to have to tell the next part of it next Sunday. Because that boy who stayed home got mad. And there are some people who will never come to church because of how we treat them, of how we look at them, of how we judge them. Never judge in them what used to be in you. Because it is very possible to be in church and lost. But the father said, kill the fatted calf. Here it is. My son, who was dead, is alive. He was lost, and he's found. He was lost, and he's found. Found does not mean God didn't know where he was. It meant the boy came back to his senses. He's found to God and lost to the devil. And when somebody comes down the aisle, ain't nobody but the devil mad because he missed a soul he thought he had. Our brothers are standing now. And there might be somebody here this morning who's been in the far country. And it looked like things are never going to go in your favor. But the word for you this morning is that you can come home. The doors of the Father's house are open. You are welcome. I don't care what these people say about you. I don't care what judgment they try to put on you. I don't care how they try to place some designation on you. If you make up your mind to come, there's a tree that says, welcome home. The Lord loves you, and he wants you to be saved. He wants you to be in his family forever. But you've got to accept what he did for you on the cross.